My next speaker doesn't know it yet, ne? But she's going to be my bestie, or I'm going to be her bestie. Ne? She doesn't know it yet. And let me tell you why she's going to love me, ne? Because I'm carrying this water. Hey, this lady likes telling us to drink water, but I hope after this talk she can see and be proud of me for drinking my water. And apart from that, she's just hot like a heater. I'm talking about Palesa Maleka, who is a clinical dietitian, and she has a private practice called Palesa Dietitian Nutrition Services. She's passionate about nutrition, health, and fitness, and I'm not going to take more of her shine. I'm just going to let her come up and tell us more about this health and wellness. And she's also going to tell you guys to drink water. So I hope you've ordered water. How's Palesa?
Thank you so much. Dumelang, good morning. Hello, everybody. For those who don't know me, I got introduced, but I'm going to reintroduce myself. My name is Palesa Maleka, and like she said, I'm a dietitian by profession. I want to say my age, because I'll tell you guys why I'm saying that. I'm 27 years of age as I sit here today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my history, just a little bit, and also why I'm sitting here today, all right? I grew up in Davidson. The reason why I'm going to talk a little bit about my background is that I've got 3 words for you guys to take from me today. One is be fearless. And with my story, you will understand why this word is so important to me. Be courageous. You will understand why this word is important to me. And be true to who you are. That is 3 words that you need to, oh, and of course, please drink your water. Take that with you. I grew up in Davidson, Ekasi, but I'm originally from Limpopo. Kimopedi. I don't know if there are any Pedi people around here. Hey. So let me continue with English. So I grew up with my grandmother. So my mom is physically disabled. She was born fine. But because parents back then didn't believe in vaccines, my mom didn't get a polio vaccine. At the age of 5, she was paralyzed. I think 6 years of her life, she was in hospital. I'm here today, obviously she made it. I mentioned that again because I think also I'll touch on COVID. Probably there's people that are very hesitant to take the vaccine. It works by both ways, whether you're gonna make it or not. Take your chances, right? So my mom was one of the least fortunate people that got polio because they didn't get vaccinated. What polio does, I don't know if you guys are aware of that, is just that it paralyzes you. You cannot be able to work and you are physically disabled. Some it affects them mentally and all of that, but it only affected her physically, which means she couldn't walk for so many years. She still walks, but she can't walk from here to there. I was a wheelchair most of my life, right? Which was fun because she would like hold on to me, and that's where I get my strength from. I needed to hold my mom by hand. So there's nothing that can drop me down. If I can hold my own mother, I can hold myself because I never had somebody who can hold me. So my mom left home, and then I was left with my grandmother up until I was like in high school. No, in primary school, which was like in 2007. So my mom was staying in a home in Davidson. It's called Eletu Cheshire Home. I don't know if there's anybody who knows that here. So she moved from home for many, many years. Coming from the villages as somebody that is physically disabled, I don't think it's easy, right? It's much more easier in the townships or anywhere else. So she was quite rejected a lot at home. I learned something from her a lot, that in life, there are people that are not gonna like you, either because you're disabled, or or you know, you're beautiful, or you're this. Somebody's not gonna like you, but that's not your problem, right? It's their problem, let them deal with it. I got that from her, that she didn't let her obstacles, stop her from being who she was. I got that from her. I could have sat back and said, you know, my mom is disabled, kids tease me at school. I got that a lot, right? But then that's okay. When they used to stay, it's a home for people that are physically disabled only. Now, kifeta skolo, you know, I'm like in primary school, I need to go to high school. Now I'm like, manje, I must go to high school, go Limpopo, go Khaya, go Mahayeng. No. I want to go to Davidson because I used to visit my mom and it used to be fun and vibrant. You know how Davidson is like Tembisa. Then when I wanted to move there with my mom, it was a one room, so they would leave. It's one little rest, you know, like when you stay at rest. So you sleep in like just one small room. And I would have to like sleep on the floor and she would sleep on the bed, obviously, because this is her, you know, place. And then they didn't want me to come stay there because obviously they have managers and people that own these homes. And they were like, no, you can't, there's no kids here and stuff. And that's when I learned to be a fighter because that's what I wanted. And I said, but now my mom is not speaking for me. No one is speaking for me. They're not understanding why I want to move. First of all, I wanted better education for myself. And I knew that the life I wanted for myself, here, Limpopo was not going to give me that, right? At least where I was. I had to write a motivation letter at that young age. So what's that thing? Oh, like Bona. So, right? But I fought, and then I wrote, and then when I went to visit at December, because we used to go there in December, and I just never came back. And they finally was like, when I was supposed to leave, I cried, like, I'm not gonna leave. And, got my cousin to go and register me, go skolong, like we did, and come back like, hey, kids, you know? And now I'm going to high school. And then they were like, okay, it's cool. So I stayed in a home for people that are physically disabled for 4 or 5 years, which was very hard for me, right? You can imagine you're the only child there. And I'm talking about some of them who can't even lift their leg. Some of them can't even talk properly. Some of them are being fed. And that was traumatic for me, right? Trauma as a child comes in different ways. The fact that I never really I had a mother, but I was more of a mother to my mom. That means a child in me is still seeking a mother somewhere, somehow, right? And today, yes, I will touch on mental health as well, because again, that is something I struggled with that made me realize that I still have a lot of childhood traumas that I need to deal with. But then again, that didn't stop me from me to reach where I want to go. Through the years, I stayed there for like 4 years, and I also just realized how privileged I was to just be able to stand up and walk. A lot of people can't do that. It's either you were involved in a car accident or you got shot, or it's something that you were born with. So that alone is a privilege. I'm going to talk about gratitude and say, every morning, just thank God for the ability to see, the ability to hear. You take it for granted until it's taken away from you. Imagine waking up one day and they say you can't walk. Just imagine that, right? So that again, you just wake up and say, God, thank you. And it's something very simple, but it can also be taken away just like that in a minute. So from there, I will fast forward. Went to high school. I was done. Now I'm done. I don't even know what I want to be, right? I always knew I wanted to be in the health because I did physical sciences and mathematics and all of that and school. So I always knew I needed to do very well at school because no one is there to pay for my fees. I didn't even know there was something like NSFAS back then, right? And which was like not a long time ago. And then they took me, go UP. I think I applied in September. By November, they took me and all of that. What I'm trying to say is that I've had obstacles as a person, and I'm very young. I haven't achieved a lot of things that I want to achieve, but I am somewhere. I'm not where I was when I was back in Limpopo. I'm not where I was in 2019. So I went to school, I finished, I became a dietitian. I want to talk about something that is very important to me, that the reason why I have the practice that I have today. So in 2019, I did my ComServe at a hospital in Kozola, Kosoweto. I said to myself, I don't want to work for government. They took me there. They're like, oh, and I was like, no, I don't want to work for the government. Now, I left ComServe. I don't have experience. I've got nothing. And I was like, I've got the ability for me to open my practices because it's in me. I'm not going to go to work at 7, kichaiseka 4. I've got a lot of dreams, right? I want to have my own companies in which I've opened some others and a whole lot of that. But this has always been something that I've struggled with my weight for so many years. So I was like, I want to help. When I wanted a dietitian, there was no black dietitian. I was just like, what do you guys mean there's no black dietitians? So I saw an opportunity for me to only be the only black dietitian around where I am, which means I can make thousands and thousands of money, on a weekly basis. So I took that opportunity. What happened now in 2019, I opened my practices. I opened 3 all at once because, I've got people, I'm known, and this is going to work because I've made a name for myself for what I'm doing. Now COVID hits. What does that do to me? Right? I have to close down all my practices. I can't work. At least for a good 3-4 months, I'm paying rent for places that I cannot use. Now that is something that was supposed to break me, but it didn't. It made me say that obstacles in life are there. So what I did was I started selling sanitizers and masks and all of that. That made me a lot of money, right? And I was like, I didn't sit on the corner and cry every day. I'm like, yeah, God, but if it was, I was like, no, okay, what's next? I saw an opportunity. And that today, I'm hosting an event with Discovery on the 17th of September. I met the guy there when I was selling sanitizers and mask by that time. But today, he recognized me as a dietitian and saying, we've got a wellness program. We want you to head that program, right? Thank you. So God has got bigger plans for anything. So when there's an obstacle that comes in front of you, look, there is something that they're trying to show you. So if I didn't strive and say, I'm going to humble myself and be posting and saying, "Ke rekisa mask ka 10 ranta." Not because, yes, I had the money, it was okay, I was okay, but at the same time, I was like, this was not the plan, right? I wanted to make a living, but now my practices are closed. I'm not gonna sit back and say, no, I'm not gonna make a living. No, I will sell that mask for 10 rand, but that was God's plan. I met a lot of amazing people. Today, I'm doing greater and greater things. So one thing I can say to everybody is that I'm still very young. I haven't achieved as much. I don't have 500 companies, but I have one that is standing and is doing well, and every day so me sitting here, I'm saying you sitting there, wherever you are, you may have achieved your dreams or your goals or anything like that, but just know that you can get wherever you want to get as a person. So take it from me, I've seen a lot of things, I'm still gonna see a whole lot of stuff, and I'm just telling you that it is possible. Believe in yourself, love yourself, be cute, be beautiful, right? Drink water and eat well, and take care of yourself as a woman, right? And happy Women's Month. Thank you so much for having me.
You saw me. You know what? She took me back to when we just started the event, and I said, a lot of the times when we think about the word celebrate, we think about those momentous occasions, something massive in life happened. Yeah. But the word of God says, count it all joy. Count it all joy when you face persecutions and trials and tribulations of all kinds, because that is the testing of your faith, and the testing of your faith produces perseverance. So let perseverance have its full work in you, that you may be complete and lacking in nothing. So thank you so much for affirming that and reminding us. Does anybody have questions for Palesa? Please do ask your questions. Are these the ones that you were selling? No.
No, they're not.
Okay.
But I can supply you if you want.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Hi, thank you for sharing your inspiring story. A question I'd like to ask you today is, did you have any preconceived ideas before you went into business? Because I think before we go into businesses, we have this idea, or we have this picture, this mental picture in our minds that, you know what, this is what I'm going to start, this is what I'm going to do, this is what it's going to look like. So did you have any preconceived ideas before you started your business? And what are the things that you wish you knew before you started your own business?
So I'll talk briefly about other stuff that I also want to do other than me having a practice. So in the medical world or in the health world, you know, you can just like literally open a practice anyway, and then you have people coming through. But what you don't know is that I went to school and then I studied health. I know nothing about finances. I know nothing about, the hiring people or, the admin side of it and all of that. So when I went into it, I went in blindly, but I went with that thing that I'm going to do it and I'm going to make it. And every day I'm learning, right? There is nothing that you can learn out there, right? I can read as many books, but then experience will teach you. And that's what has been taught me, that at least in the last 2 years that I've had a practice for myself, I've learned. And I'm also very passionate about beauty and fashion as well. So my other business ventures is into going into fashion and beauty, but the background side of it, where like having a store where we're selling clothes or, skincare is very important to me as well and all of that. So I'm only not just, because they all go together, right? Health, beauty, fashion, everything. For me, I want to bring it in a nice house. When you walk into my practice, you're going to find a doctor. You're going to find a store that sells jeans and crop tops and all of that. You walk in and there's probably like a kawaii in there, or you walk in and there's drips in there, there's doctors. So I wanted to make like a nice holistic approach when you walk into my practice one day. So for me, that is one of my dreams and where I am actually trying to get, because I liked what he said, is that when you get to a place where you're doing one thing, you grab it together and you have it together and then you move into the next one, right? So that's what keeps me, going. And I hope I answered your question.
Any other questions?
You can just ask me, I'll come to you.
Any other questions?
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks, and how are you?
Great, thank you. Just a quick one. I wanted to find out from you, working for corporate, and one struggles to maybe adapt to going to the gym, eating healthy, and how would you advise one to at least like find a way that would best suitably works for them?
I think for me personally, right, I'm not even going to talk about my clients or my patients that are in hospital or anything. I always take it home because me, myself, I still struggle at some point, right? So it makes it easier for me to be able to relate with you because I've got the same thing. So the practical example, guidelines I can give, right, is that you need to also, we always say this with fitness and health people, say you need to know your why. We're just not saying that for fun, right? If you're doing it for Utembi next door, the day Utembi moves, what are you going to do, right? So it needs to be something that comes from within, nah? And eating healthy and exercise is this, nah?
Yeah.
So when you are here, don't be there for 5 days, right? So it should be like, okay, I'm not feeling too well today, then tomorrow you pick yourself. It's a long-term thing. There are no quick diets. So you come to my practice, I'm not gonna give you a diet that gives you a flat tummy in 2 weeks. I've had my flat tummy for 10 years, right? So you need to work for yours. And so you see people that are very lean and they didn't get to be like that, but we all start somewhere. So it's very easy. All the food that are out there are healthy. It's just as human beings, we tend them bad. We take potatoes that have no issues with anybody, we submerge them in oil and make it something that they're not. So eat foods that are as natural as they are, right? Make sure you consume your vegetables and fruits every day. Obviously drink your water and exercise at least a minimum of 3 times, in a week, and obviously come for me to consult, and I'll tell you the rest.
Okay, nicely answered. Another question would be, one, obviously, as a person who likes to go to the gym, and obviously, this superstition about supplements.
Yeah.
I know if I'm consistent enough, like 7 days a week going to the gym and everything, my body responds very well.
Yeah.
What's your take on supplements? I don't know if maybe you can...
First of all, I'm a professional, right? So we work a lot with things that are medically approved. You come to me that is medically approved, then you will work, right? So I'll give an example. In hospital, I work with clients or patients that are malnourished. What I do is that first thing, I'm going to seek some protein shake, right? Especially if it is medically approved, to give it to them to increase their muscle. So there's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is certain companies making them look like what they are not. They're not supposed to be replacement, right? They're supposed to supplement. When you're supplementing, you're adding on what you already have, right? So it is a booster. It's like a catalyst. If you need about 30 grams of protein a day and you can only afford to eat 15, take the other 15 grams from your protein powder, but that's not a long-term solution. Nah? It is a solution for now. You reach your goal and then you let it go. So natural is good, but then you can always go ask for help. It's like pills, right? Yeah. So I don't have any problem with that as long as it's medically approved.
Okay. We also have some amazing engagement from our online audience. Whoop, whoop. Hey, guys, we wish you were here, yes. But anyway, it's okay. So we've got a question from Tepo Siakamela on Facebook. And he says, from your personal experience, how can you answer this question about discovering passion? Do you think that a person should stick to their passion in order to succeed? Or should we do whatever it takes to succeed financially before we answer the passion question?
Okay. So for me, I'm a backup girl, right? You always need a backup. One, my career is a backup. First, for sure, right? I will never go to bed hungry for as long as there's a demand of dietitians. There is, definitely. I can work in a hospital. So first things first, before passions are different, right? You might not get hired to be an artist, you might not get hired to be a fashion designer, whatever, but always make sure before, if you can, maybe you're studying and you're following your passion at that point in time, do that, right? But then make sure that you're stable, because we all need some sort of income. We all need to eat. So it is very important for you to find your feet first before you go out there to go and chasing your passion, because your passion might not come with the income. It might happen in 10 years, but in that 10 years, what's happening with yourself? Right? So for me, that is very important. Have your plan A and your plan B, but definitely, the ultimate goal is for all of us to chase our passions and actually leave them. But we need money to survive. So just make sure that your passion brings you a little bit of income for you to survive.
Great. So I heard something about planning. Have a plan A, have a plan B, which makes me think that you're somebody that's very strategic minded. Ne? So that leads me to our second question from Utembega Madondo, who was asking, what business strategies do you use as a template for your businesses?
So I think for me is that because I've got another company that's called Blue Opulence that does supply and demand and all of that, right? So in South Africa, I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, connections and networks work, right? You go, I meet somebody here today and say, my company needs this and this and this and that. Will you be able to give that for me, right? I'm still figuring myself out. Like I said, there's a lot of things that I still want to do, but I'm still figuring myself out. For my practice, I know where I'm going with that, right? And every day we're introducing new things and we want to get bigger and bigger and bigger. But I feel like that is also different from you opening a store where you need to hire people. I work with professionals. It's easy for me to just be like, I'm looking for 2 nurses. Right? You get paid what the HPCSA says I must give you, and we keep it moving. But now when you are selling bags or selling shoes or doing something else, that is completely different, right? Because you have to have everything all figured out. I've got a guideline from the board where I'm working. So I'm still figuring it out. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, oh, I've got it all together. No. Like you sitting there at home, like you sitting in there, we're all figuring out, but you must have a plan and know where you're trying to get.
Stuff. So where can we find you online?
Okay. So you can find me at 2 places. On Twitter, it's Dietitian Palesa, and on Instagram as well, it is Dietitian Palesa.
Okay, there's just one more question from the lady. She's coming through. I'm not seeing any water. Are you impressed with us? No, ne? I'm embarrassed on our behalf.
But they offered me water when I got here, and I was like, "That,
No,
thank
that's
you.
right.
That's right."
Sanitize.
Hello, everyone. My name is Constance from Fit Munduza, so we're more of a fitness company, but we do mostly from where? But we do mostly outdoors. So my question for you is, how do you collaborate with other women in the same field and same industry? Because we do work with other people, and then others are asking about nutrition. Yes, I did nutrition, but not as broad as you did.
I have,
So
Yeah.
how can we combine so that at least when somebody has such issues that are more of nutritional based, so that I can be able to refer you or give advice that's correct, not just touch base.
Okay. So if you guys remember, the first time I came here, I came with Juanita. She was one of the speakers. So she's into fitness. That's why I'm saying I know you.
Okay.
Right? So that's how I met her. I met her through that. She came to me and be like, I saw she was doing fitness. And I saw under her post, a lot of people were asking her about nutrition. I sent her a DM and I said, hey, listen, if you get all these questions, direct all those people to me. I will not give out 90% of the information, obviously for free. Yes. I'm a professional, I work, right? But then I will give out guidelines. If you ask me, is this okay, blah, I will always do it. So I'm available, you can send me a DM. There's so many, there's information like a email, I'll always respond to those. But even if you say to me, I need you to at least, maybe if you have a gym, you say, come to my gym, maybe like once a week, and you get people to say, I will be having a dietitian on this day. I will willingly be able to do that for you.
Okay, thank
and
you.
then I can come through and actually speak to them face to face, free of charge.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Palesa. Hi. My name is Carol. I would like to ask you, Hori, where do you get this? You have a good confidence. Where do you get this positive confidence? What advice can you give ladies who struggle? You know, ladies, they have problem with confidence. They want to put this in. They want to tuck this in. So what can you motivate them? What words can you give them to be motivated and to be strong and be confident with themselves?
I always say when you lack something, you can work on it, right? Mm-hmm. I wasn't always like this. But I saw that for me to be out there and for the kind of work I'm in and, you know, the socials and all of that, I needed to be confident. Mm-hmm. So I put myself closer to those that I thought that like, she looks confident and all of that, right? Mm-hmm. And then how did you do it, right? Yeah. So put yourself around people that you feel like I aspire to be like her. Mm. I aspire to walk like that. It takes practical like work to do it. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, you must sit in front of your mirror. Yes, do say your affirmations, but after saying your affirmations, please go do the work, right? So for me, I think it's because of a lot of my struggles that I went from. I'm not going to sit here and say somebody gave it to me. It's just something that I said to myself, if I don't do this, if I don't wake up every day and say, Palesa, you're going to walk into this company and approach them or send a motivational letter for you to work with them or whatever, nobody's going to do it for you. So it just comes from you talking to yourself. Be kind to yourself, but be very loving towards yourself. I'm a dietitian. A lot of people probably think like, oh, I'm fat, my thighs are too this and this and this and this and that. I live with that every single day. I never told anybody that I want to be skinny, right? Oh. So let's get that right, right? So for me, and that is one of the things that I'm trying to remove that type of narrative out there because it doesn't favor us. I don't use BMI in my practice today because it favors tall people and skinny people. Oh, but yes. What about us? Yes. What about the black women? You know, because most black women look like me. So why can I not be a dietitian and be accepted the way that I am? But now somebody's telling me that, no, you need to weigh this much. Yes, I do. When we look into it medically and all the body fat mass and all of that, it is advised for health reasons. But first of all, you need to be okay first with how you look. That is very important. In order for you to be able to appreciate where you're going in terms of your physique, you need to love where you are right now. And that's what I do every single day. Every client that walks on my door, I tell them that you are beautiful and you look exactly as you are. I want you like this, but if you want to get better, I'm here to assist you. So it's just for you to talk to yourself. Talk to you. Nobody's going to give you. When people say, oh, you look beautiful, I'm like, I know, darling. Right? Because I affirm myself, and not because ngiyazitshela or anything. Coming from where I come from at Davidson, but it's, oh, lo, uyazitshela. We grew up like, if they ever told you that out here, right? Give me a hand. You're my girl, right? Keep jelaring yourself because you don't have to wait for other people to say anything to you. That's where confidence comes from.
Thank you, honey.
Look at the person next to you, ne? And then tell them, ukuthi yazi mina ngimuhle. Awutshela bona uyatshela wena. Ukuthi mara mina mawungibhekile ngisha. Yazi mina ngimuhle.
Yazi mina ngimuhle.
Yazi mina.
Thank you.
Please. No, ungibhekisise. Ungibonile mara.
That's a good one.
So it seems to be booming online. We have another question from Bizin Mutlake who's asking, please comment on the importance of water and also, is tap water nutritional?
So let's talk about this, right? That's my favorite topic. I can talk until tomorrow. Actually, I want to say something. Yes, quickly. I know you. I want to talk about this water thing, guys. Be true to yourself, and social media will bring the right people to you, right? And then they start seeing you as a brand. When I started talking about water, because I was like, I'm a dietitian, but like, Palesa, your water. How much water do you drink yesterday? Then when I realized, and when I started asking most of my clients how much, nobody could tell me how much water they had. So for me, I saw that we will not be intentional about the water intake on how much water did you drink yesterday? Right? Does anybody here know? You will only know if you were intentional about it. So for me, it was very personal. I went to see a dermatologist. They told me I'm dehydrated and I was developing eczema. I was like, what do you mean? But then I realized that I was not drinking enough water, right? 90% at least of our body is made up of water. I think we all know that. Nah? And for our systems to work properly, they need water. For you to do number 2, you need water. You need to pee. You need to get rid of the toxins in your body. You need water. For you to glow, to be hydrated, you need water. To produce saliva, you need water, right? So as a woman, I just tell people that don't even, for weight loss as well, please, right? So I can give you practical advice. So for breakfast, before you eat every morning, make sure that you drink warm water. What does it do? It naturally suppresses your appetite. I'm talking about people that want to lose the tummy, right? A secret to me having a flat tummy is that. So another second one is that for every meal before you eat, 30 minutes or 15 minutes before that, drink your water. That way, your metabolism will be working properly. You won't have any problems with constipation, which can make you very, very grumpy. People don't care about these things until you're forced to come to see me by your doctor. So prevent all of those things. Take care of yourself. Be a hydrated queen, and you look good, man.
Look good. Let's give her one more round of applause.